Later on this week, Elysium is going to be released, and I am personally very excited for it, both because I love sci-fi, I love the director, Neill Blomkamp, I love District 9, and I think Matt Damon is pretty awesome, and he can't really do any wrong. But there are some people who are a little bit worried about the movie. Not the premise, I suppose, but about the political message that underlies it. And so that's what we're going to talk about here. Now, obviously, if you've seen the trailers, you understand at least a little bit about what's going on in the movie. Matt Damon is from the have-nots that still lay on a absolutely devastated Earth. Orbiting around Earth is Elysium, which is where the haves live, where you can have cancer magically whisked away from your body every single day, where I'm sure the food is quite good. And so there's this huge disparity between Elysium and what's left of Earth. And so obviously there's a huge income inequality element of Elysium. There's also a healthcare element of it. You see in many of the trailers, Matt Damon is injured, and so there's a bit of occupational safety and regulation commentary going on there. And then the actual care that he gets for his injury is basically non-existent. And so that's the healthcare element. And so you've got a lot of, I don't know how hot button political topics they are, but there's certainly things that a certain segment of the population, the more conservative segment, might not like the commentary that Elysium is probably likely to deliver on these various topics. Now, I think that it makes the movie much more interesting. I think that mindless science fiction is about as entertaining as mindless anything. And so I like that there's a message to it. And this is certainly in line with Neill Blomkamp's previous movie, District 9, which was obviously a fairly obvious allegory for apartheid in South Africa. Now, I think that I don't know that the movie is going to be as good as that because the premise isn't quite as strong. There's not the hook, but I like that Sharlto Copley, who played the main character in District 9, is in it in a very different role. I think that he was a very unique actor. I'm interested to see what he brings to it. And if they maintain the sort of awesome, kind of low-budget special effects of District 9, I think it's going to be incredibly exciting. But that aside, back to the political message, there are some who are worried about what it could mean if Elysium tanks. Does that mean that directors in the future and the people who fund directors in the future will be less likely to want to invest in movies that have a strong political message? I don't know. It could happen. I think that the movie is likely to do well because we need a science fiction movie like this after a number of failures over the past few months, like After Earth and things like that. Matt Damon's a huge name, and certainly people have been looking for something from this director and from Sharlto Copley after District 9. And I'm not even going to talk about the A-Team. But so I hope that it does well because I want movies to have a message. And I'm fine with conservatives doing their version of it too. I'm not saying that the message has to be liberal. I feel like the conservative message, if it wasn't subtle in a movie, would be kind of awful because you can only kick like the have-nots so much. I don't know what audience there would be for that, but I'm going to go see it. I assume that many of you will, and it'll be interesting to see how it's received and how subtle or how overt the political message is. And it might have a lot to say about the future of science fiction movies.